Hello and welcome to the another class in the veterinary anatomy brain 3, and today we will discuss the digits of ox. And in case of ox there will be only two digits, and these two digits will be third and the fourth. The first is absent and the second and fifth are just in case of live animal just at the back side of this joint, what we call as a fetlock joint, in the form of the Dev class. So in front of you, these are the two digits, and each digit will be having three phalanges, 1, 2, and 3. So this is one of the digit, and this is the other digit. So basically, this is the digit third and the fourth, and second and fifth is a vestigial in the form of Dev class here. In the lifetime, it will be as a Dev class here. The first is absent. So besides this three digits, there will be the three phalanges in the digit. There will be the three sesamoids, two proximal, and one will be the distal. So let us see about each digit, how they are made, and what are the bones that are forming the each digit. And if you look out, what I told you that digit is made up of three phalanges. This one is called as a proximal phalange or first phalange. This is called as a middle phalange, and this is called as a distal phalange. In the form of, you see that the hoof is in the form of the distal phalange, third phalange. And if you take the separately as a phalange, so this is one of the phalange. So this is this one phalange, and this is the first phalanx, and this phalanx comes in the classification of a long bone, because this bone will be having this end and other end here and a small shaft, so the classified in the long bone. The other name of this bone as a first phalange is called as proximal phalanx, also known as os sapropharyngeus, also known as os campadale. So there are 3-4 names to this first phalanx, and usually you can find this phalanx here. So it is articulating with that of metacarpal above, forming the fetlock joint, and with the second phalanx here forming the pastern joint. This bone presents three surfaces. So one of the surface will be outer surface, this one of the surface will be towards the other phalanx, what we call as interdigital surface. So this will be the interdigital surface, and or axial surface also called, and this is called as axial because it is away from the axis. It's called axial surface. And one surface that you see here in the contact, that is this one, and this is the palmar surface. So the three surfaces, the palmar surface is this one, then the surface that is away from the axis is axial, and the surface that is towards the axis is called as the axial surface. And this surface and this surface usually meet here at the center, forming a rounded border, what we call as a dorsal border. So three surfaces and one border, plus it will have two extremities. So one of the extremity will be here, so that will be articulating here with that of metacarpal, and this is called as a proximal extremity. And one extremity will be here, that will be articulating with the second phalanx. This will be the distal extremity. But if you see, the proximal extremity is usually larger, so it is larger as compared to that of the distal extremity. So the proximal extremity is larger as compared to that of distal extremity, and this proximal extremity is basically divided by the sagittal groove. So there is a sagittal groove that is dividing this proximal extremity into two unequal parts. So two unequal parts is there, and the larger part will be the abaxial part, and the smaller part will be the axial part. So likewise here, if you see the distal extremity, so the distal extremity is again divided by the groove into two unequal condyles. Again, the larger abaxial will be the larger, and the axial will be the smaller. So this is about the first phalanx that forms the joint as a fetlock between with that of metacarpal, and pastern with that of the second carpal. Coming to the second phalanx. So this is the second phalanx here. It is the second phalanx. So second phalanx here, I told you with the first phalanx it will form the pastern, and with that of the third phalanx it will form the coffin joint. So this will be the coffin joint, and this will be the pastern, and this will be the fetlock joint. So if you see here, so again this bone will be having three surfaces. One of the surface is abaxial, that is away from the axis. One will be here, that is towards the axis, and one will be downwards, that will be the palmar. So in this you can see that three surfaces are there. So this surface is outer, so this is abaxial. This is inner one towards the axis, this is called as axial surface, and this surface is towards the back side, that is called as the palmar surface. So three surface again, axial, abaxial, and the palmar surface. And if you look out the extremities, it will be having the two extremities. One is this, and another is this with a small shaft. So this bone is also classified into the long bone. So this is also the long bone. As you know, the size doesn't matter, only the features of the bone matter, to which it will belong, short or the long. So this is the long bone having the two ends and the small shaft. So if you look out, it is proximal extremity. The proximal extremity is again divided, unequally divided. Sagittal ridge is there because one half will be bigger, as what you call as gillnet cavities. One gillnet cavity will be bigger and one will be smaller, because to this the bigger distal extremity condyle will articulate. So if this is a bigger, that means the cavity will be bigger on the abaxial side. So the abaxial gillnet cavity on the proximal extremity of the second phalanx will be bigger, and this gillnet cavity on the axial side will be the smaller. And if you look out the distal side, you see that the distal articular area is just coming up and it is almost occupying the distal half of the bone. So almost is occupying half of the bone is occupied by this distal articular area, and in the lifetime this half of this whole of the bone is basically occupied. So the joint is like this, what you call as a coffin joint. So the half of this bone is basically occupied into the concavity or the gillnet cavity of the third phalanx, because the articular area has encroached the distal half of this bone. So distal half is again divided, sagittally divided, unequal division. You see that this is a bigger side, this is a smaller articular condyle. So the abaxial condyle is bigger, axial condyle is smaller. So this is about the second phalanx. So this remaining is this. So if you see the shape of this phalanx, the third phalanx, so this is not a small, this is not a large bone, because it doesn't have a shaft and doesn't have this two ends. So this comes in the classification of the short bone. So here it is a separate short bone. So this is the third phalanx, comes in the classification of the short bone. The other name of this bone is called as os pedis, or also known as os angularis in case of ruminants, or also known as a distal phalanx. So this is the third phalanx, this one, also known as os pedis or os angularis. So this bone basically takes the shape of the hoof or the claw. So this takes the shape of the outer covering of the hoof that is present in case of the ruminants, and is considered as the short bone, having four surfaces and one angle. So one of the surface is this one, outer surface. So this surface is called as a parietal surface, and this surface is having the so many foramina. You can see so many foramina is there, and besides there will be a distal groove. You can see here there is a groove here. A distal groove will be here on this surface, and with having the lot of foramina. And among the foramina, one of the foramina on this surface will be bigger. So this is the surface. These are the foraminas, and one of the foramina will be bigger. You can see here this foramina, that is a very big foramen, and this is called as a abaxial foramen. So abaxial foramen, all the foramina that is present in the parietal surface, outer surface, this foramina will be bigger, and that is called as the abaxial surface. So this is one of the surface. Other surface is this one. This is called as a solar surface. So this is in contact with that of the ground. Then one more surface will be this. This is the articular surface, where the second phalanx will articulate. So the second phalanx will articulate here like this. So the solar surface. So the solar surface will be this, and one of the surface will be towards the other digit. So one of the surface will be here towards the other digit, that is the inner one, that is called as interdigital surface. So the four surfaces: interdigital, parietal, articular surface, and the solar surface. Plus this parietal surface will have at one end the process what we call as extensor process here. So here this is called as extensor process. Then this is the angle that is formed by this surface here. So this is the angle. I told you it has four surfaces: one surface, two, three, and four surfaces, and an angle. The angle is formed as the extensor process here. So this is about the phalanges that that are making this digit. So one of the digit is this, having three phalanges, and plus there will be the three sesamoids also. Two will be distal, two will be proximal, one will be distal. So this is about the digits in case of ox. The comparison we can do in the next class. Thank you.